Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together how to peace out. I'm trying to peace out because it like goes live and it says 3, 2, 1, and then it goes live. And this time it went 1, 1, 1. So I don't know what that first expression may have looked like. Hopefully you missed it. Hopefully you didn't see it because I was like, it's going live. It's not going live. Well, hello. Anyway, I hope you're having a good morning. Hope you had a good week. Today is the end of January. I know there's so many things going on in our world, and we're all grieving over the plane crash and plane and the helicopter that crashed and the tragedy in the DC area, and just praying for those families and things. Those are things that weigh on us and can add to our stress level, even though we're not directly connected. Those things can bring a lot of stress in our soul, and so I've tried not to watch it 24/7, but I want to know what's going on, right? But I have kept up with that, and so our hearts and prayers are with those families and loved ones and teammates and all of those involved that were so deeply connected and closely connected to this tragic event. And so, but as a nation, we grieve. We don't realize what that trauma plays on us sometimes, how that trauma works on us sometimes, because we think, oh, we didn't know them, but it's a thing because we have loved ones and we can't even imagine what that might feel like, right? And so we pray for those to be comforted and for God to give us direction to those who are working the wreck and just for healing. We just need healing, don't we? So today we're finishing up our week talking about ends and beginnings. And this week had an end, had a beginning, and now it has an end, right? And now we're at the end of the week. That's the end of the month. But the end of the month doesn't mean anything. It just means that now there's a beginning of a new month, right? So we're going to go right from at midnight tonight. January 2025 will be over. We'll never see it again. But now we have February 2025 to work with, right? And at the end of February, it'll be gone. Each day we have to live to the best we can because we don't get to live that day over. Well, there's not a do-over button where we just go, I didn't handle that right. Can I go back and do that again? I made the wrong choice. Can I go back and do that? I'm making several choices. I've made 2 or 3 choices lately, and I'm like, I don't know if this is right or not. I'm going to go forward, seeing. I don't, unless God's peace goes, I'm not going that way. Now, I'm not going to go that way. But it's all about laying it out before God every single day and just trusting Him for the outcome, right? And trusting that we're hearing Him, trusting that we're going the direction that He's going. And if we just follow Him and stay close to Him, it'll take care of a whole lot of that kind of stuff, right? So, but I was thinking about ends and beginnings. Now, beginnings and ends, both, right? They go together. You can't separate them because when you come to a beginning, you also have an end. When you come to an end, you also have a beginning. And so, isn't that it's kind of amazing? So it's all, you can't separate them. They're both there together. So I was thinking about 3 different things I wanted to talk about today, but I'm going to lay Abraham aside. I was going to talk about Abraham and Isaac. So I wanted to focus on Jesus and the resurrection, because when he went to the crucifixion for the disciples, it was the end of their hopes. It was the end of their dreams. They had given up their jobs to follow Jesus, and they thought he was going to set up a physical kingdom, and he didn't. And they kept saying, okay, now's when you're going to take the kingdom. Okay, now is when you're going to take the kingdom. Okay, do we need some swords so you can take the kingdom now? And they almost missed it because it wasn't a natural kingdom that he set up. It was a spiritual kingdom. The cool thing is that spiritual kingdom, the kingdom of God, never ends. And we can't really fathom that sometimes because everything we know has a beginning, a very definitive beginning, and a very definitive end. And so it's hard for us to fathom that God has no beginning. He created the beginning, right, of time, the beginning, the earth, all of that, and us, right? And then we had an entry into time that was our beginning. And then we'll leave time, and we'll still be with him in the kingdom because the kingdom never ends. But they were thinking he was going to set up a natural kingdom. They missed it somehow along the way, right? And don't we do that? Don't we? I know I've had things I thought God was going to do, and I thought he was going to do it a certain way, and I had a really good plan, and he didn't go by that plan. And what happened? Get disappointed, right? The disciples were disappointed. They were also scared. They were like, if they killed him, and we had all of our trust in him, that's not a bad thing, right? I had all of our trust in them, and he was going to set up the kingdom, and now he's gone. We left our jobs. We left our families. We followed Jesus. We listened to his teachings. We hung on to everything he said, and now he's gone. And there had to be some disappointment there. And dealing with disappointment is one of the hardest things, because we thought God was going to come right again on a white horse, and he didn't. Or we thought he was going to come rescue us out of the fiery furnace, and the fiery furnace just went on and on. Or we thought he was going to meet us in the lion's den like he did Daniel. And of course, I'm speaking figuratively, because none of us see those. Those aren't things, thankfully, that we actually know in our time and in our lives, right? But we thought God was going to act a certain way. And when it didn't play out like our imagination, it didn't match our imaginations, we found ourselves disappointed. I don't know what to do now, right? And so there's another story I wanted to go to talking about that. That was Lazarus, because Lazarus was dead. If you remember Mary and Martha, they said, if you had been here, he wouldn't have died. And Jesus is going, but I'm the resurrection. I am the life. And they're going, but he's gone. Our brother is gone. And he's like, no, but I am it. I'm the resurrection. And they were so in their disappointment, rightly so. No condemnation. I ain't judging, right? But they were so in that disappointment that they didn't even see what he was about to do. They had nothing to measure it by. They didn't know God was going to do that. They didn't know Jesus was going to raise him from the dead. They had to work through that disappointment. They had to work through those emotions to find some sort of peace. And maybe they were even upset in an angry type of way. I've been angry with God. It's okay. He's got big shoulders. I can go, but I'm just really mad. I don't even talk to you anymore. Can you help me with this first? Right? And sometimes it's more colorful than that too. But I've been upset with God, or I've been disappointed with the way things played out, because it wasn't supposed to it didn't play out that way in my brain and my imagination. And here they are, and they're going, but they couldn't fathom that he was going to raise Lazarus. And yet it wasn't. That end was the beginning of a new life. Now, the cool thing is, or I guess it's cool, is Lazarus lived the rest of his life, but then he still died again, and Mary and Martha died at some point. They all came to an end too, right? And so he didn't have perpetual life on the earth. He did, and with Jesus in paradise and in heaven now, right? So, but that ending was a new beginning of their faith, of their walk with Jesus, of their trust of him, of trying to understand what he's even saying about the kingdom. And isn't it the same thing when Jesus came back? Now, Lazarus had been dead 4 days. Jesus said, I'm only going to be dead 3. Okay, so he gets up on the 3rd day, and the death couldn't hold him. And so here's the disciples, and what they thought was the end was actually a new beginning. And then we have the whole book of Acts of them just going out and living it, because Jesus went ahead and went back to heaven, the ascension in the first part of Acts, right? And so that was another end that led right into a new beginning, the beginning of the new church, the New Testament church, which we're a part of, right? The cross looked like an end, but it was the end of the law, not that the law went away, but that we don't have to follow the law to please God anymore. Now we stand in faith. And so that cross was the end of the old law, but it was the beginning of the new law. Jeremiah talked about it. Ezekiel talked about it. Isaiah talked about it. They all said, now I'm going to write my law on your hearts and on your mind. I'm going to be inside you instead of just with you. You're going to be my tabernacle. You're going to be my dwelling. I choose you to be my dwelling place. God could have dwelt anywhere. He could have said, I'm going to live in the ocean. Okay with everybody? I'm just going to live in the ocean, because it's got depth, it's got shallow, it's got cool, it's got hot, it's got beautiful scenery. The coral reefs are beautiful. I just going to live in the ocean. Or he could have said, I'm going to stay in the heavens just above the earth, and you'll just have to figure out how to ascend to me. Or I'm going to live on the mountains. The mountains are beautiful, right? They got lots of wildlife, lots of vegetation. They're just alive. And even the desert. I could live in the desert because there's not anything to deal with in the desert. That's a good place to live, right? Because you ain't got to deal with people in the desert. But underneath, if you get underneath the desert and understand the ecosystem there's actually all kinds of life there. There is really flowers in the desert. There is actually rain in the desert. There is actually all kinds of wildlife in the desert. And so it's like, he could have lived there. It's actually got its own beauty, but he didn't. He even could have said, I'm just going to live in the animals, because y'all humans ain't got no sense, right? So I'm just going to live in the animals. No, he didn't. He chose to make us his habitation. And that's what the end That's what the cross signified, the end of the old law and the beginning of the new. There's always, every time there's an end, there's a new beginning. An end of a job means a new job. Or maybe sometimes a new job means the end of the other one. Sometimes it gets flipped around. But an end isn't the end all. It's just, we need to start, it's not a negative. It's more of a, at the end is a new beginning. I don't know where we are in our walk with God. And so, I mean, even ministries come to what they feel is an end, but there's always something new. There's God's going to open something else up. And a lot of times we get lost in that ending and we go, oh, but it's a loss. And I thought I was doing good. We feel like a failure and all this. And then all of a sudden, years down the road or months down the road or weeks, if you're faster than me, days, right? You look back and go, oh, that was a good thing. It felt horrible. It felt like an end. It felt like a loss, but God was bringing something brand new into my life. He was leading me in a whole new direction. I've discovered him on a whole new level. So what I thought was an end, it's actually the beginning of something brand new. Ends and beginnings are awesome. I'm still going to be thinking about it this weekend, but I'll try to find a new topic for next week, right? You guys have a great weekend. Take it as an opportunity to trust God, to let go of all the old stuff and grab hold of new stuff, because every day's got new stuff to learn, to do, to discover about God, new levels of trusting him, new levels of learning how to just roll it over on him, giving him our burdens and just trusting him for the faith that we walk in, that righteousness that he gave us. Man, there's always something to do in the kingdom, right? Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Peace out. I'll see you guys Monday morning.